Hi everyone, welcome back. I am a firm believer that being a tourist at your own country, your own city, is one of the most fun things you can do. If there's anything that's always on my list for places to visit, is of course bookstores. So today I'm going to show you 3 different places that I think you should visit while in Lisbon. These are all some of the coziest places where you'll be able to find amazing books and also the nicest people working there, as well as the overall environment. Everyone looks so happy when they're there browsing the books or talking to each other. It has happened to me quite a few times now, starting a random conversation with strangers there, just talking about the books that we are picking and currently reading as well. It's always such an amazing experience whenever I go to these places, so let's go on this beautiful bookish journey together. We are starting with the place that I am most familiar with, and that is Bookshop Bivar. You might have seen on some of my previous videos that usually when I decide to unhaul books, this is the place where I take them. Not only because it helps their business, because they have new books to sell, but also because you get some store credit when you deliver your books that you get to spend at the store and bring home some wonderful second-hand editions of a variety of different genres. I would say the biggest section they have there is classics, but I also see a lot of contemporary fiction, crime, mystery, thrillers. A section with fantasy books as well, which usually has a lot of hidden gems. You have a table in the middle with some highlights, as well as a nice comfy couch where you get to sit in while reading your book, maybe also while deciding what you want to pick up and bring home. If you go downstairs, you have a whole section mainly of non-fiction books, at least that's what they had when I went there last time. And there you can also find a lot of different interesting subjects such as memoirs, books about nature, mental health, biographies, sports, science, anything you can think of really. My favorite thing about this store is that you never know what you're gonna get when you go there, because obviously it depends on the books that people decide to bring there. So it's always a nice surprise, and usually I do go there for secondhand classics, and they have so many of them. They have some of my favorite editions, such as the old Penguin ones, Wordsworth as well, and Barnes & Noble. They have some older classics, like really old books that you even have to be very careful when picking them up. It also has a lot of cute little decorations, which makes the space very cozy and inviting. Overall, it's a cute little charming corner in the middle of the city, and I love going there. I will certainly be back multiple times. Obviously, you don't have to unhaul books if you want to go there, but it is always a little bonus when you get to have some store credit, because I can guarantee you, almost certainly, you will want to buy at least a book or 2 when you go there. This trip was a success as usual. I always love going to Bookshop Bivar, and it is funny because today was one of those days where I was feeling so tired that I almost gave up on the idea of going, because it was really hard to even get out of bed, let alone go outside and do fun things. But I'm so glad I did. Sometimes you just need to push yourself a little bit, if you feel like you can, of course, and it was so worth it. I did end up unhauling all the books that I wanted, and the owner, who is so sweet, I love talking to her so much. She was thanking me about the book selection that I brought there. She was saying that those books were going to sell very fast because they're very high searched for. People are always looking for some of those titles, so that's great. And of course, in exchange, I did get some store credit, so I took advantage of that. I've got a pile of 6 books here, and I only paid 10 euros for all of these, which is a great deal if you ask me. The first one I got was If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. I got this one for 2 reasons. One, it's very obvious, it is on the cover. If it is about cats, I am immediately intrigued, so that was the first reason. But then again, because I usually do enjoy books from Japan, so I will add this one to my collection. I'm not sure exactly how the title relates to the story, because from what I've heard, this is about someone who gets a medical diagnosis. I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but I believe they only have a few months to live. What would you sacrifice for an extra day of life? So I'm hoping for yet another book that might emotionally destroy me, which is totally fine. I will read this one whenever I feel ready, but I did love the cover. I've been meaning to get this book for a long time now, so I was really happy I found it. Plus, it is in a very good condition. Books there usually are. Of course, there are sections that don't have such nice copies. That's mainly because anyone can go there and donate their books. It really depends on the treatment that the books have been given, of course, but there's a lot of them that you can find in either very good or even perfect condition, which is the case for this one, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I have read this one before. I've just been looking for another copy because my original one, at first I couldn't find it, and then I found it and it was in a very bad condition. I'm not sure exactly why. I do remember reading it when I was quite young, and it was kind of one of the first books that really impacted me, so I would like to have it on my collection. I'm not sure exactly when I would reread this, but I would like to at some point, even though obviously this isn't really an easy read, of course, knowing the context and everything, but it is very important, and especially nowadays I feel like we live in a reality where it is extra important to remember history and try not to let it repeat itself yet again. So it is one of those books that I feel like are too important for me not to have it. So that's why I got it, and it is absolutely perfect. Then I got a very popular book, which was also in a very good condition. I've been very intrigued by this one. I feel like when I started watching BookTube for the first time, this was one of the first books that I've ever heard anyone talking about, and I've been very intrigued by it ever since then, and that's none other than The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I've since read The Starless Sea by the same author, and I did like it. Overall, it was a very positive reading experience for me, but this one in particular has intrigued me a lot. I remember it being some of my favorite booktubers, at the time at least it was one of their favorite books of a lot of creators, and it is about a night circus. It's about a circus which only appears at night, and apparently there's something which is threatening everyone's lives at the circus. There's also a romance here, if I'm not mistaken, and I do believe that to this day it is still one of the most beloved fantasy books out there. Plus it is a standalone, so that's fun. So I decided to finally grab it. I mean, this is a stunning cover. I believe this is fairly new, and then again it was in a very good condition. So I thought, why not? Let's just finally give it a try. It sounds very enchanting and mysterious as well. I'm very intrigued. So looking forward to reading this one. This one I got because it was only €2, I believe, and apparently it is considered to be a good dark academia book, which I'm not sure exactly what that means anymore because it varies so much. But anyway, that is Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko, I believe, and it is translated by Julia Matov-Hersey. This is a bit of a mystery to me. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. Some people seem to love it though. In short words, apparently it is about this girl who does some sort of job and is rewarded with a shining golden coin, and she is then tasked to travel to the remote village and use that coin to enter the Institute of Special Technologies. And this is of course no normal school. The books are impossible to read, the lessons obscure to the point of maddening, and the knowledge itself refuses to be remembered. So that's all I need to hear. I will not read any more from the synopsis because that's quite enough for me. It sounds a bit creepy. I know a few people who like it. I've also heard that it's a bit complicated, at least to get into, but then again, €2 and very good condition as well. So how could I have resisted a deal like this? I don't think I should. So that's the next one that I got. I have two more. One of them, I believe Milena enjoyed this book. I might be thinking of another one, but I think it was this one. It's The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. This is a contemporary, I would say. Exactly, it focuses on the creation of the first Oxford English dictionary, which sounds super fun if you ask me. I said contemporary, but this might be a bit of magical realism as well. It says it is thought-provoking, touching, and subtly romantic. In order for the protagonist to collect words for this dictionary, she must journey into a world on the cusp of change as the Great War looms and women fight for the vote. I'm all for that. So yes, I would say contemporary / historical fiction / a bit of magical realism going on here. It sounds like a very nice mixture of ingredients and I'm excited to read it. It's both about words, the power of words, and also what you have to do in order to conquer them and give them meaning, I guess. So, and then finally, I got one which I believe is actually number 5 on a series. But then again, €2, and I've heard amazing things about this series. I'm not even sure you need to read this in order. If you are a fan, please let me know. I believe it is Victoria from What Victoria Read who really loves these books. But yes, if anyone could help me, I would really appreciate it. And yes, it is number 5, I believe. Wow. But anyway, that is Heartstone by C.J. Sansom. And I haven't read the synopsis because then again, I'm not exactly sure you need to read this in order. I know they are historical fiction, and apparently this one is set in summer 1545. England is at war. So yes, a very cheap book. This series has been on my TBR for a very long time now, and this way I can kind of slowly begin my collection. I believe I will enjoy it, but I will try and find the first book next time I am on a hunt for secondhand books, I guess, just to see if I do like it, and then if I do, hopefully find the other ones as well, because there are a few series that I have been able to find almost all the books secondhand, which is fun, so I might try and do that for this one as well. But that is my haul from Bookshop Bivar. I highly recommend it if you are in Lisbon or if you happen to be visiting the city. Would highly recommend. They are the sweetest people. I absolutely love going there, and if you are looking to unhaul books and are not sure exactly where to donate them to, this is an amazing option. I feel like we should always try and support small businesses and independent bookshops, so this is a great option if you are looking to do that. On to the second place, and this is the one that was new to me. I kept hearing wonders about it, and rightfully so. This is Salted Books. I finally decided to visit it, and oh my gosh, I absolutely fell in love, of course. The decoration here is so calming. As soon as you enter, there's a very relaxing atmosphere that immediately pulls you in. And my favorite thing about this store is definitely the fact that there are books I never see anywhere else. And this I knew because following their Instagram, they always have the most unique editions. The way they recommend books is so convincing as well. I love how at the store they divide the books into genres but also themes and specific editions. It is very well thought out. And then again, you never know what you're gonna find because they have a huge variety. The space itself, again, is kind of on the smaller side, but that's not a problem at all. It doesn't feel small. They use it very well. It's so beautifully decorated. It has a very simple style, which I very much appreciate because it makes the books stand out even more. They also have their own tote bags and t-shirts as well, I believe, which I did not get this time, but I was very intrigued. Their merchandise, I noticed that usually has a very strong message that I completely agree with, and you will see more of that in just a second. I wish it was closer to me so I could go there more often, but I'm so happy I finally did, and I guess I have to thank a lot of bookish people, especially on Bookstagram, who kept recommending this bookstore because you are absolutely correct. It is, again, a hidden gem, kind of, in the middle of the city, and it is wonderful. I loved it so much. Hi! I am now back from Salted Books, and I cannot believe I finally visited that store. I had seen it so many times on Instagram, and it always looked wonderful to me. The book selection that they had looked very unique, and people seemed so nice, so I finally decided to go. And I'm so happy because I bought some wonderful things, even though it was really hard to decide. But the first thing I knew I wanted was their tote bag, which says, "Buy books from bookshops, not a billionaire." And I couldn't agree more. It also has their address, of course, so you know where you can find them. But yes, like I was saying, it was incredibly difficult to pick a book. Going there reminded me of this experience that nowadays it's very rare for me to have, with being on BookTube and having so many people's recommendations. It is hard for me to enter a bookstore and see so many books that I've never even heard about. But that's exactly what happened to me there, and it's one of the biggest reasons why I loved it so much. They had such unique books from a lot of different genres. They had a lot of memoirs and contemporary fiction, romance, books about nature, mental health. They had so many different things that I had never seen in my life, and I loved it. It was very inviting, and I just felt very well inside, and it took me so long to pick the books. Sometimes I feel a bit silly with how long it takes me to choose, but they had so many wonderful options, so I decided to go with 3 books for 3 different reasons, depending on how much I had heard about them. So one of them I bought because I did see it recommended a lot on BookTube. The other one is something that I have seen around, mainly on Bookstagram actually, but I don't know much about the plot, at least not until I bought it. And the other one is one that I had never heard about, except on their Instagram. While I was trying to pick a book that I had never heard about, that was the moment where the lovely lady that was working there started bringing new books to display, and so I looked at the pile and thought, yes, that's the one I want. So with that said, let me show you what I got, and we also have this beautiful package exactly with the same quote. I'm definitely keeping this. I love that they give you this, I believe in every single order that you make there, which is amazing. This will be a great decoration somewhere. I still need to figure out what to do with this. But yes, the first one I went with was We Are the Weather, Saving the Planet Begins at Breakfast by Jonathan Safran Foer, who's also the author of Eating Animals, which is another book that's on my radar, I would say. But this one, I believe I first saw it recommended, I think it was by Lena Norms, and she's one of my favorite creators. She does talk a lot about books, but other things as well. She's a wonderful creative person. And so I saw this one and I immediately grabbed it. This was the first one that I picked. And when I say immediately, I mean maybe after 15 minutes of endlessly perusing the bookshop. But anyway, it was the first one that I decided to pick up, and it says, "Climate change is the greatest crisis humankind has ever faced. It is that straightforward, that fraught. Where were you when you made your decision?" And that immediately is very thought-provoking. I've said it a couple of times, but I really do love reading books about nature, climate change, our planet, and especially about what we can do, not only as individuals, but also taking in consideration that we are part of a much larger society and, you know, think that's going on here, what we can do in order to prevent this crisis. So I'm looking forward to this one. I keep hearing incredible things about it, so I'm really happy that I found it at Salted Books. And then the next one is the one that I keep seeing, especially around Bookstagram, and it is called Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano, I guess, which has just the most beautiful cover. And I believe this is about a family that's kind of feeling a bit broken right now. It follows 4 sisters. Yes, I think it is 4 sisters, and best friends who bring loving chaos to their close-knit Italian-American neighborhood. And then something happens. So it says, William Waters grew up in a house silenced by tragedy, where his parents could hardly bear to look at him, much less love him. All of these people end up meeting and becoming friends, I believe, until something from William's past begins to affect his experience and relationships in the present. So it is a book about people, about relationships, about day-to-day lives, and that's something that I really love. I'm not sure how emotional this book will get, but I'm excited to find out. I'd be curious to know if you've read this one and if you've seen it around, because I feel like some people have mentioned it. I just never seen a lot of reviews for it. It is very pretty and it's not that long either, so I might read this one sooner than later. And then the last one is the only one that I had never seen in my life apart from in Salted Books Instagram. and for some reason it caught my attention. We have Violet Syrup by Sophia Mullen, and the bookseller that was there was very excited that I picked up this book, so that's definitely a good sign. And then I read the synopsis and I was immediately invested. This is about a girl called Ophelia who abandons her home in Amsterdam and decides to go on a solo trip to Arizona and California, and finally settles on the island of Bali, where she grapples with heartbreak and rebels against life. So then again, it's a book about people. I love books that reflect about stressful and horrifying, but also meaningful and beautiful life can be, how everything around us, the people we meet, the people we get along with or not, how our vision, our experience affects everything, affects how we see the world and how the world sees us, maybe. I love books that touch upon that. So these two seem to be very character driven and I'm absolutely here for that. While as this one might be a bit stressful, though I'm hoping it is also hopeful in a way. We'll see. But these are the 3 books that I got. I'm so excited about these and I cannot wait to go to Salted Books again. It was so lovely and I did go alone, which is something that sometimes makes me feel a bit stressed. I'm not sure why. I think it's mainly the idea of doing something alone that makes me feel a bit anxious sometimes, but then I actually go and I do the thing and I'm so happy I did. So if you feel scared or ashamed or nervous about doing something, about making a plan with yourself and doing something that you're really looking forward to, the only thing that's stopping you is the fact that you don't have company, and that might be a bit overwhelming. My advice is just do it. It probably will go very well and you probably will not regret it. And if something goes wrong, you can always think about why that was and maybe next time will be better. So highly recommend. If you are in Lisbon, please do make sure to visit Salted Books. It is so cozy and inviting. The people there were incredibly nice and the book collection again was insanely good. The last place is Fable, which is both a bookshop and a cafe, which is one of my favorite aspects about this place, let me tell you. It is a little paradise, I would say. You enter and you can immediately see the coffee shop with a small section of books on the left and some cute tables and chairs for you to sit on the right. They also have this display of Polaroid pictures of dogs who have visited the shop, and it's the most adorable thing ever. That's always a plus, by the way, when it is pet friendly. It's something that I very much appreciate. I didn't get anything to drink or eat this time, but the previous time that I went, I did drink a cappuccino and ate, I believe it was a banana cake, and both of them were delicious. Their menu is based, I believe, mostly on breakfast/brunch type of food, and that's honestly my favorite. But then you go downstairs and that's where the actual bookstore is. You also have some tables and chairs to sit on and eat anything or read your book, but the bookstore itself, let me tell you, it is a very small corner, but it couldn't be more filled of books. And so many different books as well. I love how they organize it, again, separated between genres and each one of them. You have both very popular books that you probably have heard of before, but also very unique ones that at least I have never seen before. So it's a great balanced mixture between both of them. And above that, they also host a lot of events throughout the months. They have writing parties, reading parties, book clubs about different subjects, and you can always sign up through their Instagram, I believe, which is something that I still haven't done. I still haven't been able to, but I definitely want to attend at least one of the reading parties and then a book club as well. They host little discussions on their coffee shop and you get to drink, I believe it is wine and delicious food. So that sounds amazing. So yes, this is the combination of dreams. You have books, bookish events, a coffee shop, all in one place, which again is very cozy, very welcoming to everyone. And those are some of the reasons which make it so special. What a beautiful morning this was, despite it still being very hot, obviously, but there was also this very nice breeze going on, and I just ended up walking a lot throughout the streets of Lisbon, and it was wonderful. So I am now, of course, back from Fable, and I did bring my tote bag from Salted Books with me because it's just it's too good not to bring it with me everywhere and spread the message. Now, Fable is one of my favorite places, just overall. It's kind of a cozy little paradise in the middle of the city. You immediately feel that energy once you walk in. I had kind of the same struggle that I had previously with Salted Books, because usually they have such a wide variety of genres and authors. It's a very fun experience always, and I did end up bringing 3 books from there, but I also got these 2 beautiful bookmarks which say Fable on them, books, coffee and cafe, and also the address, of course, with a cute little design. They are adorable and free, so I always end up grabbing a few as well. But as for the books, I decided to pick a mix of genres again, and 2 of these I have heard about and they have been on my radar for a while now. These are 2 books that I really want to read. And the other one is one whose cover I found adorable, and also the subject matter seems very important and kind of relatable to me as well. But starting with the books that I do intend to read and I have been meaning to read for a long time. First we have Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. This is a survival story. This is the author telling us his experience at the Holocaust and how he survived. So obviously it's one of those books, you know, that will probably break your heart. I'm sure it will break mine. But at the same time, it's supposed to have a very hopeful message in humanity in general. And I find that very admirable, because how do you keep hope after an event like this and after going through such a thing? It must be very hard, it must be almost impossible, but I do think that's what the book kind of reflects upon as well. How do you find hope and meaning again after going through and seeing such a huge tragedy? So people keep raving about this one. It's a very well-known book. Maybe some of you have read it already, and if you have, please let me know your thoughts. It's very short as well. I was not expecting that, but again, it's been on my list for a very long time, so I'm hoping to finally give it a try. I'm not sure when, because I definitely need to be in the right headspace to read something like this, but I'm happy I finally have a copy, and I really like this edition as well. And the other one that I've also been meaning to read, and I'm sure a lot of you have read already, because there was a time where this was such a popular book. I feel like when I first started watching BookTube, this was already everywhere, and that's Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. First of all, I've never seen this cover before, so it was very unique and it immediately grabbed my attention because of it. But then again, this is also a survival story, I believe. I think it is set in a post-apocalyptic reality. Exactly, there's a deadly virus that touches down in North America. The world will never be the same again. I feel like I've slowly been falling in love with this type of story, because it also brings out so much about just humankind in general, how people react in such conditions. I think it's, you know, a safe place to explore such a story and what maybe you yourself would do if this happened, which I hope we never go through that. It's interesting to put yourself in this scenario and kind of imagine how that would look like in a safe way, which is reading a book. And yes, I have been slowly falling in love with this story, especially since I've played The Last of Us, which is still my favorite story when it comes to survival. But not only that, it's one of my favorite stories, period. But I found that I really kind of like that scenario, and this is one of those books. Again, it has been very well loved for years now, and I've just never read it, so it's time to fix that finally. And then the other book, which I had never seen before, but I had to. It has this very cute cover with a very angry bunny in it. On being unreasonable, why being bad can be a force for good. And then at first I was a bit confused as to what that meant, but then I read the synopsis and it really spoke to me. So it says, this is a call for change. The author reveals how the rules that shape our society are relics of a bygone age, fraught with selfishness and unfairness. The solution is a new social contract with kinder modes of coexistence at its core. And if that means embracing unreasonable behavior in the name of justice, well, is that such a bad thing? And I ask myself this same question all the time. So I kind of really saw myself in this. I'm not sure exactly what to expect of the book. I hope it's not condescending in a way, because sometimes I feel like books can also... Well, what's going on? There's a lot of wind. Can you see that? I love this. Please bring on the wind. I need some more breeze in my life because it's been so terribly hot, but it's kind of funny. It won't stop. They can fall into the mistake, I would say, of being too condescending and a bit naive, maybe, talking about this subject when saying things like, oh, if you're just kind to people, then good things will happen to you and everything will be okay. And unfortunately, that's... we all know that's not the case. So I hope that's not what the book is going for. But in a way, I really hope that it advocates for a kinder mindset. Because one of my biggest pet peeves is when people tell me that kindness and being gentle and an empath and showing compassion is a weakness. I cannot tell you how much I hate that, because it goes against everything that I believe. Like, your first goal in life should be to be kind to others and to yourself, obviously. That is not a weakness at all. In the world that we live in, it might seem so, unfortunately, because yes, if you are kind, you are a great target for some awful people. But that's not on you, that's on them. Being kind could never be a bad thing, especially when you are advocating for justice and equality and what's fair, what's right for everyone to live in this messy world. That should be celebrated. It should not be as something that you need to fix. And all my life, I've been told that I am way too sensitive, way too emotional, way too caring. I almost believed that at some point, and maybe I did at some point in my life. And still nowadays, it is a struggle to keep this mindset, you know, but I'm sticking to it. You know, I firmly believe that all of these are qualities that we should never forget, we should never put aside. So I really hope that that's more of the approach that the book is talking about. I'm not sure if I said, but it's by Kirsty Segman, I believe. So yes, I'm excited because particularly I really loved this paragraph. It's something that really speaks to me a lot. So yes, I'm hopeful that I will like this book. Also, I love the cover, so please can I love the book because I want to keep it. It's so cute. And those are all the books that I got at Fable, one of my favorite places, which again, of course, I recommend, just like Bookshop Bivar and Salted Books. They are all amazing. And that's really the end of this video. I had such a wonderful time making myself actually leave the house and go experience all of these wonderful places, which I adore. If you are in Lisbon, please make sure to check them out. They deserve all of your love and support. Let's all make sure to support these wonderful independent businesses as well as libraries, wherever you get access to them, of course. But other than that, what can I say? I'm just happy I went on this experience, so I really hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a rest of a wonderful day. I'm sending you the biggest hug, and I'll see you again very soon on my next video or some reading sprints, who knows. Bye everyone!